All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Richa, and I'm part of the admissions team here at ISB. So let's see who all are joining us tonight. So, guys, very quickly in the chat window, can you help me understand whether you are currently writing your GMAT GRE, preparing for it, or have already written or planning to take? So you can write taking the test, preparing for the test, or yet to taking it next year. So it'll help me understand. What is the kind of audience that we have tonight. So hi Shritam, hi Anand, Atul, guys joining from Bangalore and Hyderabad, etc. Okay. All right, great. So we'll get started. Okay, applied in R1 already. Okay, sure. Awaiting R1 results. All the best, Amit, which is expected on the 18th of November, which is this Friday. So all the best, Shritam, to you too. Okay, great. So very quickly, you guys have been there, done it all. So let's address what our two folks should be doing rightly. So with that, I have put together those 5 things that one should keep in mind, right? Given that the deadline is 4th of December and we have about 3 weeks to go, while you're preparing for your GMAT GRE, guys, what else to be kept in mind, right? So based on our interactions with our students and urban folks and all the prospects that we've interacted with, top 5 things that also are part of their priority list. Guys, they focus on impact, right? They start working on their application form. They start focusing on other aspects of the application process, not just the GMAT GRE. So impact is very important. The impact that you create while you're talking about your professional transition in the employment tab, or what you're talking about in the essays, creating impact is very important. It's very important for us to understand what is the kind of work that you have done in the past. What are you currently doing? What is your contribution to the organization? What is your contribution to the current project? What are the gaps? What are your strengths? How do you want to leverage ISB? And what is your next career goal, right? So it's very important to talk about the impact story. Second, very important to also showcase the clarity of thought process, right? The 2 essays which are there in the application form, guys, please focus on what you want to do. What is it that you want from ISB? How are you going to leverage this 1 year at ISB? Also, the clarity of your strengths and your weaknesses, right? What are those gaps that you want to bridge through at ISB? So having clarity always helps. How do we get there? Conversations with self, guys. There is no other shortcut to this. There is no other Google to this. You have to reflect, you have to introspect, you have to ask yourself those difficult questions. Why I want to do MBA? Why ISB? Why now? Am I ready for an MBA now, or can I wait? Or am I just or should I have done it last year itself? So understand what you want to do, right? So clarity always helps, and that will come with conversations with self. So start working, start thinking, pick up the draft, maybe the Word document, start drafting your initial thoughts. That helps. The third thing that they always do rightly is presenting their original story. Very, very important. While there are a lot of templates which are available here, there, everywhere, guys, you and only you can present your true story. You can paint your actual picture, right? So that is very important to us, because ultimately we want to understand you. The focus is not on the ornamental English or the quotes or the phrases that are there in the application form, but the focus is what ISB can do to help you. The third thing that they always do correct, the fourth thing that they do correctly is they always keep asking why. So for example, if you've talked about a hobby, or if you've talked about a particular project, or if you've talked about a particular instance, question that, why is it important for me to write this? Does it add value to my MBA journey? Right? What are the challenges that I have faced? Whether it is at all important for the conversations now. So keep asking why. For example, if you've possibly pursued a hobby which was in standard 4 or 5 or 10th, is it relevant now? Ask that question, why? Why am I writing this? Right? And the fifth, ultimately, all the dots have to be connected. Whatever you write in the education tab, your extracurricular, your hobbies, your employment journey that you've had, your professional growth chart that you've showcased, the unique you essay, the why ISB, the career goal essay, ultimately all have to stitch a story together that this is why Richa wants to pursue this 1 year PGP at ISB, right? So keep these 5 things in mind, and this will help you not just at the application process, guys. This will also help you sail through your interview process. Simple, but 5 top things to keep amidst all the other things. GMAT, GRE preparation and mock interviews, da 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 da, all of that is important. But these 5 things will take care of the basics, will take care of understanding your entire journey to the PGP MBA. Also, I'm very quickly in my next slide covered something on scholarships, because a lot of students also keep asking me that, do we have scholarships in rounds subsequent to round 1, or do we have scholarships in round 2 and round 3? The answer is yes. We have merit-based, need-based diversity scholarship, guys. All of this information is right there in the application form itself. Merit, automatically all students are eligible for the merit scholarship. The need base is fairly simple. If the family income is less than 18 lakh, you're eligible for need base. Diversity is picked up from your essay. So when you're talking about your uniqueness story, when you're talking about your strengths, we pick up the pointers from this. You can apply it to one or many. You can apply to all 3, but finally, any one will be awarded to, whichever is highest. If your score on the diversity is the highest, that will be applicable in your case. So with that, yes, I'd now stop presenting. This is all that I had for you guys tonight. Happy to take questions, and I will quickly go in the chat window and see what questions do I have for me. Okay, preparing for the test. How much score is required for the admission with 13 plus industrial experience in chemical sector? And this one's from Babji. Okay, so great. It's a range at ISB that we follow. You need to understand that for GMAT, the range is 610 to 780. For GRE, it's 305 to 339. Now, this range is not the prescribed range by ISB, but this is a range in which our current cohort is there, right? The current class of PGP class of 23, these students belong to this range. So with 13 years of experience, you have this entire range of score that you can play around with. Needless to mention, there are other elements that you can focus on. There are essays, there are letter of recommendation, how you show your progression, that what all the kind of work experiences or the kind of roles and responsibilities you've handled in 13 years. All of this will also add to your ultimate story, right? So focus on the holistic approach of your profile. Okay, so Pravalika says, when can we expect the YLP results? So, guys, YLP stage 2 results are expected by November end. YLP stage 1 results are expected on 10th of December, and PGP results are expected on 18th of November. All of these dates are published, available on our website, so feel free to refer to that. Okay, could there be a round 3, and what are the chances? So yes, Dovuri, there will be a round 3, tentatively mid-Jan. We will be publishing the dates shortly, right? And we move on to the next question, and this one's from Sharmishta. Difference between R2, R3, will there be any R3? So I've answered the latter regarding difference between R2, R3. One biggest difference is the scholarship, right? The scholarships that are offered in R2 is up to 75% waiver of the tuition fee. Scholarships offered in round 3 is about 50% of the tuition fee waiver. Also, guys, you need to understand that while the application process doesn't change across any of these rounds, or even for that matter, the interview process, but the one thing that sort of matters is that round 3 becomes slightly more competitive, because of less seats remaining, right? By R1, R2, at the end of R2, about 80-85% of the seats are taken up. So that's also one reason why R3 becomes slightly more competitive. But apart from that, the process doesn't change. Okay, Neha says on an average, how many slots remain for R2? So, Neha, dynamic, every year it changes, but R1, R2 put together 80-85%. Very difficult to say how many seats for R1, R2, it changes. It totally depends on the acceptance from the students as well, right? So Amit says results R1 for sure. Yes, 18th November R1 results will be announced. So check, keep an eye on your inbox. The email will be, yes, irrespective of the final offer, the waitlist, the reject, whichever is applicable, everything will be sent to you on the 18th. All right. Okay, can a PR card from, and this one's from Samendra, can a PR card from another country mentioned in profile help at ISB admissions if this integrates to the purpose of career or goals? Absolutely. Absolutely, it helps. It also brings in your diversity. It shows that you've got global exposure, you have exposure or experience in working in international markets. So it adds to the diversity in your profile. So, yes, please go ahead and mention that. Right. So 5 years of experience, and this one's from Amol. 5 years of experience in mobile gaming, core team, head of strategy. Great profile, Amol. There is no right profile or no wrong profile, and this is for the larger audience, guys. Irrespective of the number of years of experience or the function or the industry that you represent, each one of you can present your own case in the best possible way, create your own little niche, and pitch it as your biggest strength, right? So absolutely go for it, Amol. Satyam, do we need the LOR from the higher management people? Again, Satyam, and to the larger audience, guys, who writes the LOR is not important. What he writes for you is, so choose your recommender very wisely, right? This person should be somebody from your professional network, should not be a family member or should not be a relative, has worked with you closely, has seen the hits and misses, has seen the ups and downs, he's seen you work closely, somebody who's invested in your entire journey. Onboard the person, let him know how important this is. So this person can be your immediate reporting manager, could be anybody, but don't get overwhelmed by the designation that if I choose a director or a partner, I'll get additional points. No, what he writes for you is very important. Tarini says, what GMAT score does one need in case we have about 3 years of work experience? So, Tarini, it's a range again. There is no one right answer for this. I cannot prescribe this one score to you. It's this whole range that you can work in because ISB focuses on other elements, right? There are about 5+1 parameters that we call it as. The first three are very important, all right? Essays, LOR, and your scores, your GMAT/GRE scores. These three things is something that you can currently control, that you can work and improve upon. So focus on these three. They are very important. The next are your academic history. The fifth is your progression, your career progression. And when I say career progression, I'm not looking at promotions, I'm not looking at designation, I'm not looking at salary, etc. I'm talking about how you have evolved as a professional, the depth of your profile, right? The kind of work that you were handling back then when you started out vis-a-vis the kind of profile that you're handling now. That is more important to ISP. We look into all of these various factors. So irrespective of 3 years of experience, irrespective of that one score, there are other parameters you can ace your game, right? And based on all of these, you finally also have the sixth, which is your interview performance, the recommendation or the scores that the panelists will give you at the interview. So you have enough scope to build on. If there is one element which looks okayish, there's something else which can build on it. Average GMAT GRE, again, range I've talked about. Ram, he says he's done GMAT in 2020, home-based at that time, no. Okay, so at ISB, we do not look at AWA IR scores, okay? Just your total score. Also, I'm also adding to this that all of you all or any of you all who are writing your exam on 3rd or 4th of December, which is just one day out of the deadline, you can apply to the PGP program with your unofficial scores. We also accept unofficial scores. Your official scores can reach the school within 2 to 3 weeks. So that's also just fine. Atul says, I have a score with 9 years of experience in a government bank. So Atul, great. Government bank, again, PSU background, so great diversity spike here. So I feel that don't get biased with the score. I'm not reading out the score here, but whatever score that you've mentioned, don't get biased. Don't get biased. Don't reject yourself first. Give ISB an opportunity to review all the other elements of your profile, because you've got 9 years of rich experience and you come from a PSU background. So that's not the only one determining factor in the profile, right? Shubham says, all right, so what other aspects of the application can cover up for limited career progression? So Shubham, while career progression is one element, I talked about other elements as well. If only within career, if you're looking at, talk about the kind of contribution you've done to that role. You possibly have less number of years of experience, or you possibly have been handling the same profile for last 4 5 years, let's say. Then in that case, you have to talk about impact, right? In my slide, I have talked about this element called impact. So talk about what is your contribution, how have you impacted, how has the organization benefited. So this will also create the spike in your application form and can cover up your definition of limited progression, so to say. Right. And Sonal asks, so do ISB take banking professionals, and what should be the average GMAT for banking cohort? Yes, for the first one, yes, absolutely. We have folks from the banking industry. An average score, again, there is no average, right? Again, this is the range. We have finance folks, we have folks coming in from the banking industry, and there's a range of scores that even they fall into. So no right or that one answer for scores, guys. Right, Karthik, and Karthik's question is 6 years of work experience, geophysician in oil and gas PSU. Any suggestions? Great profile. Now, what matters is the clarity and the impact that you're able to showcase in your application form. That's important. With respect to eligibility, yes. With respect to you are in the phase of the 5 to 8, the right age range as well. So absolutely. Now, what is important is how you build your essay, the kind of impact you bring in, the way you're able to stitch the whole story. That's going to be the make or break. All right. So Gaurav, great. Kudos. A perfect GMAT score with 3 years of work experience. Gaurav, everything seems to be in your seems to be by your stride. So you are coming from a PSU background, even if it is like a contractual work, but as long as it's a valid work experience, and the definition of valid is that this should not be in conflict with your education, right? This is a full-time work experience after your graduation, so that's a valid work experience. So absolutely very much eligible. And yes, rest totally depends on how you present your case. Nilay, national level during school count? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Please go ahead and build that in your application. Saumitri, the interview stage for stage 3 of YLP in September. And is the tentative which date we should look out for. So yes, it's in a phased manner which is happening, because it's also sort of coinciding with a lot of PGP, YLP stage 1, stage 2. So hence it's happening in a phased manner. So by December first week, second week, you should be having the communication from the team. Right. So Anand says, how are the interview scores factored in? It's a yes, no, maybe, or as weighted score based on different factors. It's a score. Yeah. Ankit, and what's the acceptance rate of ISB? While Ankit, I don't think we can discuss this at this platform, but I can only tell you one thing, that that is that one number you should not even think about or not get overwhelmed with. Just focus on that one seat at ISB that you're aiming for, that you're gunning for, and go for the kill. Radhika, round 3 deadline dates to be disclosed by next week, hopefully. I'm just waiting for the approvals, and we will be publishing the details shortly. Right. Gaurav, ISB prefers diversity like I am Ahmedabad prefers. So Gaurav, I think each school has its own process. ISB's process is this. We've talked about the various parameters. We've talked about, so in our current class, we have folks who come from unconventional backgrounds. We have a sports person who's an ace shuttler. He's world champion, ranked 13 badminton player. You will in the class find 4Gs with 20, 25 years of experience. We have lawyers, we have healthcare professionals, we have yoga artists, musicians, we have a film producer, director, we have an ISRO scientist, we have a CBI intelligent officer. So it's a very diverse cohort side. So ISB does value diversity, and there's a lot of, and we believe that there's a lot that these students bring to the table. Their contribution to the class discussions are very important for the overall learning experience of our students. So this is how ISB is unique. So main question is, what is the expected weightage of common international certificates for, like, example, PMP with relevant experience, or is it going to give it a edge over other aspects? So the basic expectation is 10th, 12th graduation. This is the mandatory, which is the basic eligibility criteria. If you've done additional certifications like PMP or ICWA or CFA, please feel free to mention it. It definitely brings merit to your overall candidature, right? So definitely would encourage you to go ahead, mention it in your education tab. So national level during school is not irrelevant because it's something which is very prestigious. So please go ahead and do mention about it. Right. 2 years IB profile at Deutsche Bank and 310 GRE, drop shipping business as well. So I don't see any red flag here. Looks just fine. Even if you had to drop the business, I'm sure it's, maybe you look at it as a failure. We look at it as learning opportunity. Please go ahead, talk about what have you learned? How have you picked yourself and you've started running again and you're not giving up? The resilience, leadership, potential leadership signs, and this is what ISB is looking for. So I don't see any red flag. Yeah. And Raghav says, there is a necessary field of university under additional education section. Okay, so Raghav, I'm not sure if I've understood this question. Maybe possibly you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can get onto a Zoom call and take it up with you. All right. And Anjika, so my name is Richa Agrawal. You can find me on LinkedIn, and happy to connect tomorrow and take it up. Right. GMAT online versus GMAT test center. Currently, ISB is accepting GMAT, GRE, test center, or online. Anything is applicable, and there is no differentiation. There is no sort of different weightage, etc., which is given. So it's just same. Neha, how would you comment on the international placements after ISB? So Neha, international placements, direct international placements after ISB, if you refer to the placement report, is about 2 to 3%. Right. So it's few in number. Because of the pandemic, it's got a little affected. Excuse me. Raghav says, however, I went through a film school, and how would you suggest I report that information? Just simply under the name of institution. I'm not sure, Raghav, if I've understood this question. Can you okay, is it with just respect to the diversity, or is it just respect to the education? If you can just throw some light, because in either of the case, it's just fine. Yeah. Okay. And Amit says, after the interview call, is interview make or break thing? Okay. Again, a very good question, Amit. So interview score just gets added to your profile score. So there's application quality score and there is a interview score, right? So it just totally adds to the whole thing. Moving on to the next question. Okay. So irrespective, Swayam, if you've applied to any other program, it does not impact your admission to PGP this year. Okay. So I'm not reading out the name of the program that you've applied, but there'll be no disadvantage and your profile is not affected in any which ways. Where can we add certification details? So Akhil, in the education tab, there is additional education tab that you can activate, and you can add all the details there. Raghav says, under the awards section, would it be sensible to mention awards films I have been part of one, or if I mentioned some selections? Definitely, Raghav. In the awards section, please go ahead and talk about all of these awards that you've won. Absolutely. Moving on to the next question. What is the approx weightage for the interview alone? Well, interview scores are important. I will not be able to disclose the exact weightage, but yes, it's an important component. Okay, sorry, we lost your video feed. Sorry, I don't know how did it get switched off. Thank you, Shritam, for that. 740 score in GMAT, 6 years of experience in public sector, PGDM HR, and BTech. Just fine, absolutely fine. I think the concern could be that you've already done a PG program, and does it impact this PGP? No, you could have done a master's program, you could have done a PhD. This could be your second master's. It will not impact your candidature. Interested in PGP in Bangalore, and will the MS degree be considered with provisional degree certificate? So, not sure, Ayan. I don't think I've understood your question correctly, because the PGP program is offered in Hyderabad and Mohali campus only. This is a 1-year full-time residential program. We do not offer this program in Bangalore. If you're in your final semester of MS Engineering, you can apply to the PGP program through the YLP route, right? So, absolutely. Raghav, I'll drop you a message. Okay, thank you. Sure, Raghav. And thank you, Amit. Yes. All right. So I think I've covered all the questions here in the chat. Any more questions for us, folks? Okay. Quickly looking at the chat window, guys. No, I think I've covered all the questions. Feel free to post any other questions that you may have for us. Okay. Okay, I think oh yeah, that's a very good question, Aditya. Gap year. So guys, at ISB, we believe in something called the strength-based evaluation. So any gap, or any gap in the education or the employment, does not really sort of impact your candidature or has any negative bearing. That's something possibly that's a life decision that you possibly had to make at that year, and we totally understand and respect that space. So no negative marking on that. We have a question from Ipsita. Yes, Ipsita, please go ahead. Currently working in a state PSU. Okay. So, Ipsita, it is mandatory to fill the application with the score. You will not be able to apply without the score. So, it's important that you write your exam on or before the 4th of December. Excuse me, sorry, guys, 1 minute. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry. Talking too much, and I have a sore throat now. So sorry for that. Thank you, Abhijit, for showing up those slides, though. Okay, so Ipsita, I hope that answered your question. Very important to have a score before you apply. You cannot apply to the program without a score. Yes, Sunny. So sales and marketing, okay, principal paper, due to change in corporate strategy. No, that's not a negative, Sunny. That's not negative at all, right? Okay. How to train your recommender for the LOR. So Sharmishta, there's no training as such required. The process is you just need to upload the email ID of your recommender in the form. The email gets triggered. Just onboard your recommender that he will be receiving, why he will be receiving this email, why this PGP program is important to you, and what all this link will have. It'll take about 40-45 minutes. It's a bunch of questions that he has to answer. There are some objective type, some subjective type questions. And block his calendar, let him know that it's a form that he has to fill. There is no template, there is no attachment that needs to be sent to us. Okay, Shritam, thank you. That's been really sweet of you for that. What's the total cutoff for this year? Abhi, I'm not sure what the cutoff means. So are you talking of the GMAT GRE cutoff? Again, there's no cutoff for the score. It's a range here, right? Can a good score make up for any shortcomings in the profile? Yes, it can give a good spike in your application in another parameter. Any tentative time, Amit, maybe EOD. By end of the day, you should get it. Minimum work experience. So Yash, you can apply with any of the work experience. We have 3 entry routes. We have direct entry for folks having more than 2 years of experience. We have early entry, which are folks who've completed their graduation and have less than 2 years of experience. We have YLP. YLP is for students who are in the final or the pre-final year. All 3 of them finally apply to the flagship PGP, right? So it's the program you can apply. Either you're a student or less than 2 or 2. Ultimately, you join the program once you have 2 years. So through YLP or through EO, you get a deferred admission. If you're shortlisted, you will be able to join the PGP program once you've completed the 2 years of experience. Okay. So you can apply with any experience, in short. Does the LOR need to be submitted before 4th of December? Guys, again, you have to enter the details of your recommender before 4th of December. The email, so today, if you go back and enter the email ID, the form will get triggered to your recommender, and he or she will take about 40 minutes. In case if he's traveling or busy or unable to submit, you should submit your application on time. The recommender can submit it after the 4th of December as well. Is GMAT required for executive MBA? No. The executive MBA programs do not require a score. What is the cutoff for total score application interview, which guarantees an admit? Sorry, Abhay, that's a very confidential data point that you're requesting for. I won't be able to disclose that here. Right. Okay, so any more questions for me, folks? Okay, Anurag says, is ISB still sending out interview invites for round 1? So Anurag, interviews are over. We've concluded the interview process, and we will be announcing the results by November 18th. Right? What is the recommended number of? We only need one. Only one LOR needed. Okay, please do not send me any PDF, any email. A lot of students reach out to me that can we send an additional PDF? Can we send an additional letter of recommendation? Not needed, guys. Only one. Do Mohali and Hyderabad campus have separate cutoffs? No. Again, guys, it's one school, 2 campuses. The campus allocation will be done keeping the diversity in mind. Okay, because we want to ensure equal learning opportunity for our students. Hence, the campus will be allocated. Deadline for round 3, Jan, mid-Jan. Guys, we will be publishing the dates shortly. Okay. Akhil, the GRE score plus 2 years of experience. Should I give another attempt? Very difficult to say, because what you write in your essay, how you overall build your application form, that will also be very important. Shakti, result date. Shakti, not sure the result date for which program is it? Is it PGP? Is it YLP? YLP stage 1, stage 2? Not sure of that. Kushal says, how is Mohali campus different from the Hyderabad campus? Well, the students say that apart from the weather, nothing much changes. It's the same faculty, it's the same experience, the same case studies, the privileges, etc. remains the same. You are an ISB student, not an ISB Mohali or an ISB Hyderabad student, and you will be an ISB alum, right? So please ensure that. And yeah, we have a next question, PGP and PGP Pro. Guys, so PGP is a flagship program, the 1-year residential program. PGP Pro is the executive MBA program, which is weekend program. It is designed for working professionals who cannot leave their job, but at the same time want to upskill. So that's the biggest and the basic difference between the two programs. So Sharmishta says the city which I've selected for the interviews will remain the same, or you can change it, Sharmishta. So if you're shortlisted, if you receive the offer letter, you can change it. Okay. No Shakti. So there's no possibility for the announcement of R1 before 18th. It will be announced on 18th itself. Moving on to the next. Can campus be changed after allocation? So Abhi, campus change is something that we do not recommend. It's not something that we do as a practice, but we can discuss this on a case-to-case basis. I think right now, let's just focus on cracking the phase one, which is cracking the journey to ISB, and then we'll take it up. Why isn't the PGP program considered as a full-time MBA in US or Canada? Isn't providing any points for the... So what it is, even the Canadian embassy recognizes this degree and has been awarding the required credits for the PR. And even for the WES, our alums have so far sort of not received any concerns. So both of this is covered. I'm not sure if there is anything else which I'm missing in this question, but we can discuss this as well. Okay, so Avinash, my interview did not go well. Can I say that I'm not going to make it? Is interview the make or break? So very difficult to comment whether whether you're going to make it or whether it's going to be a make or break, because there are other pointers also which gets added, which is your application score, right? The overall application score that you would have received. So that will sort of decide. The advantage of 18 years experience to join PGP. So Ujjwal, totally depends on you. What is the key takeaway for you? Why are you doing this MBA? If you're looking for career transition, if you're looking for a functional or an industry shift, then yes, PGP is the program for you. If you've not had a formal management intervention, you want to learn, maximize your learning, yes, this is the right program for you. All right, placement assistance for PGP Pro. Satyam, unfortunately for our executive MBA programs, we don't offer placements. Placements are only offered for the flagship PGP. Rohan, recommended email ID. Is it better to provide work email or the personal? Better to provide the work email ID. But in case of, the Fauji's or the armed forces personals or folks from the banking industry, where there are firewalls and the email doesn't get delivered, we do accept personal ID. But work ID will bring in the credibility, right? Yes, Neha, you can send in the unofficial scores at the time of application. The official scores can come later. It's just fine. Any weightage for the part-time work with NGO, risk management certification, GOI? Okay. So Shubham, yes, you have 5+ years of experience in data analytics, and your part-time work in NGO will add to your additional contribution to the society, etc. Go ahead and plant it there. All right, thank you, Shakti. And Kunal says, can entrepreneurs apply for the 1-year MBA? Absolutely. Absolutely. We have every year, we about 20-25% of the cohort who are entrepreneurs or coming from family business. So absolutely. Are interviews offline or online? So interviews, we have conducted interviews in person starting this year. We have also, however, taken some interviews online, possibly because they were not in the country or for whatever personal or professional reason could not travel or could not come to the venue. Okay, so, but our preference would be that we meet you in person. It's a great networking opportunity for you, understand your peers, also an networking opportunity with the alums. Rohit says, will there be a round 3? Yes, there will be. By when? Mid-Jan. And by when will we announce them? Maybe in a week or so. Okay, so Abhi says, what is the commitment fee? Can you throw some light? Okay, so Abhi, if you're shortlisted, okay, so there are 3 parts to. So the tuition fee is, let's say, X. When you receive the offer letter, within 10 days, you have to accept the offer letter and pay the acceptance fee. After your acceptance fee, we want to ensure whether you are going to be not deferring or withdrawing, or you want to be pursuing the program this year, that is what is called as the commitment fee, right? All of this is part of your overall program fee. More details is on the website. Also, in your offer letter, all of the details with the timelines will be given. Sandeep says, I'm 34 and want to apply for a PGP. My age will be a great fit. Absolutely, why not? The range of age as well in the cohort is about 20, 25, 26 to 44. So absolutely, why not? Akhil says, is career change from retail banking to management consulting possible through PGP? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely possible. Right? So just to throw a number, folks, ISB is known for its consulting, not because that's ISB's strength. Yes, it is ISB's strength, but also maximum number of students apply to ISB because they want to shift into consulting. So approximately 33% of the cohort sees that shift into consulting. There are others as well, because I think only those many. So let's say if healthcare is about 10% and finance is about 15%, it's only because those many students need those kind of profiles. So consulting, yes. 740 score, 44 age, director role. So absolutely. Now, what is important for us is to understand that why MBA at this stage and how will MBA help you. So we would love to understand that. So please make sure that you stitch that in your essay. Yes, with respect to eligibility, you're absolutely eligible. So digital head start module, so sort of very good question. Digital head start module is not going to be part of the curriculum anymore. It was introduced because of the pandemic. We've now discontinued it. Okay, so it's not part of the curriculum anymore. Rohan says, is it possible to know the approximate dates for the R2 interviews? Rohan, allow us about a week or two time. Once we close the R1 process, we will be publishing all of this information on the website. Okay, so just allow us another week or so on this. We will be publishing all of these dates. We are not publishing it right now because we don't want to confuse the R1 folks, because these dates will be applicable to round 2 only. We want to finish the entire announcement of R1 and only then move on ahead with the R2 dates. Okay, Varun asks, on what basis are candidates for the PGP Pro program shortlisted? Varun, PGP Pro follows a very different process. I can connect you with the PGP Pro counseling team and they'll be able to discuss this at length. Amit says, if waitlisted in R1, when is the waitlist cleared, in which month? Again, it's a rolling basis, Amit. As and when the seats are opened up, we release the offer letter. Next one's from Narendra. I am a professor having an MTech degree. Okay. And I'm thinking of moving to the corporate sector. So absolutely, you're eligible. With respect to eligibility, yes, you're absolutely, you've got all the right credits. And now, after doing this MBA, it'll be very interesting to see whether you want to move into academia, you want to move into research, whether you actually want to move into corporate. So it totally depends on you. You have all the 3 options available for you. If there is a minor violation on GMAT score, will it be deterrent? Yes, Bhavya. Any violation on the score can impact your candidature, right? So, yeah. Okay, Kunal says, what is the approximate average GMAT score for ISB? Guys, again, for the larger audience, there is no one right score for GMAT or GRE, or there is no one score. It's a range, okay? The GMAT range is, for all those who are joining us late, for GMAT, it's 610 to 780. For GRE, it is 305 to 339. So we have a next question from Ashish. Yes, R3 will be there again, guys. All of those who join us late, R3 will be there. We will be announcing the exact dates next week, and it will tentatively be mid of Jan. The EO results will for R1. So EO results are also expected on 18th or 19th, +1. Okay, and this one's from Rohit, military officer with a valid score. Okay. Since I'm still serving, I will get a release from Army in March. So, Rohit, you can absolutely go ahead and submit your application in round two. You have a score, and we have a round two on 4th of December. So, please build your case for the round two deadline. Since the pandemic is over, okay. So again, Varun, now that the pandemic is over, but however, in last few years, we have seen that a lot of norms and a lot of policies have also changed, right? So US is a lot more stringent with respect to the kind of profiles, the kind of talent, etc. Either be the policy of the embassies, etc. So it takes time. It's not easy even after the pandemic, and now with the recession coming in, not going to be easy at all. How many people applied in R1? I do have an answer, but I don't think I'll be able to talk about it in this forum. 1 year or 2 years for placement process? This question is from Narendra. So Narendra, I think the 1 year and 2 year placements, if it's an Ivy League school, the placements are going to be great. But what differs is that if you have certain years of work experience, you have to look at opportunity cost. You have in 1 year program, you're letting go of your working experience, be it your salary, be it your on ground, your industry exposure. The opportunity cost is less, right? You are working the second year, wherein for the 2 years MBA program, you will be employed only after 2 years. So that's also an additional calculation that you have to do, but I don't see much of a difference in the placement stats as such. Also, second, when it comes to having prior work experience, it always is important to share your classroom with diverse profiles. In 2 year MBA programs, mostly they're fresh recruits, they're fresh graduates who are not necessarily coming from diverse industry or functions, right? Because they possibly, not all of them would have been exposed to the corporate canvas. So, what is your learning experience from the classroom be looking like? So, ask these questions also, not just the placements. Okay, very difficult to say. Percentage chance to get an admission score of X changes every year. No correct answer of that. If this is my score, what is the percentage chance? Because I don't know what are the other elements of your application form be looking like. Okay, so we move on to the next question. How many people? So, student exchange program, again, very important. All the students are eligible for student exchange program, the international exchange programs that we have, right? It's a bidding process that we follow. It's not dependent on your scores or any of the other selection process as such, right? Every student has bidding points. You have to bid and you have to choose the term, the respective term in the respective college that you want to pick up. And it's on the LMS. Each student is given equal opportunity. All right, Rohan. So the question is, so Rohan, you've been managing a team, okay? But how important is it to mention in the application form? That I leave it to you, because when I talk about leadership, it's not about leading a team. It's about qualities that you exhibit at workplace, right? So while managing the team, if you were thrown at certain challenges or etc., talk about that. We're interested in listening to that more, right? Okay, Sandeep, any preference for GMAT? Absolutely no preference on one exam over the other. Feel free to write any exam of your choice based on your strengths. Bidding process. Okay, so sort of, and what is the duration of the international exchange programs? Sure. So the exchange program, guys, differs. So let's say one term at ISB is 5 weeks long, but the duration of the term could be different for, let's say, Kellogg's, could be different for LBS, could be different for Wharton. Now, so let's say you choose marketing in Wharton and with vis-a-vis finance in LB. So depending on the length of that particular module, you will be gone to that industry, to that college. And how do you bid? So out of 4,500 student points that you have, you can allocate about 1,700 points. The maximum that you can allocate is 1,700. Now, if out of 100 students, there is only acceptance rate of 20, it's the fastest finger first. So let's say first 20 students are eligible because they have bid the maximum and they were the fastest. So that's how the shortlisting happens, right? Yes, there are scholarships for R3 as well. So in my next slide, so for R3, there'll be up to 50% scholarships that will be awarded. In R2, it's 75. In R3, it goes down to 50. Okay, so we have next question. MBA from UK, France, US, or from ISB as a recession is also going on. Another very good and very important question. You have to look at two questions. Ask yourself two questions rather. That what is the scope of industry and career now? There are enough and more reports that right now India is only one country which is recession proof, lowest rate of unemployability, and also upcoming market for be it digital, be it consumer market, etc. So it is going to be the next pickup, and needless to say, we are the biggest, one of the largest startup ecosystem as well, right? So ask yourself where you see yourself, which market do you want to work in. So if India is the one, ISB, yes. And UK, France, US, absolutely, they are undergoing recession. And you also have to bear in mind that the kind of placements that happen in India, right, wherein we have like a placement week, the colleges are coming and you get an opportunity to sit through those placement drives. There is as such no placement drive these colleges conduct, right? They float a pitch book, they float your profile book. So it's not a guaranteed sort of a thing. So please look into all of these things. All are big brands, all are great brands. Take the final call based on that. Okay, so Neha says the possible percentage seats remaining. So Neha, I can only tell you that R1, R2 put together, 85% of seats are already filled. Okay. EU results are scheduled for 19th. Yes, 18th and 19th. So all the PGP results are out on 18th. EU partial results on 18th, partial on 19th. So Sham, how will you judge the leadership qualities? So again, so EU programs, you will be joining the program only after 2 years. Okay. So not so much of impetus or weightage is given to, because you could have possibly just 1 or 2 months of work experience, and we understand that. But what you want to do next, that will hold more importance. So focus on that. And this is only for EU and YLP. PGP is a lot different. This is only for EU and YLP. How many students will get scholarships? About 25% of the current class gets scholarship. Okay, EU applicant evaluate MIM programs in Europe versus deferred PGP at ISB. Again, here again, you have to ask yourself whether you want prior work experience, because if you're joining the MIM program, you will have whatever work experience that you have, and then get into the 2-year masters in management program. Vis-a-vis, work for next 2 years, gain the knowledge, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then come for the deferred PGP, the one, or deferred admission, or accept the deferred admission for the 1-year PGP program. It totally depends on you, Shritam. What is it that you want for yourself now? Do you want to immediately get into a master's program, or do you want to work for some time, get the experience, understand your strengths and weaknesses, and then play on it? So just ask yourself this question. Rohan, civil engineer, 4 years, consulting after passing from ISB. We have folks with 2 years, 3 years as well who moved into consulting. So I don't see a red flag there at all. Okay, very interesting question. Hi, GMAT. Good essay, solid recommendation, compensate for a weak profile. Well, you've aced 3 check boxes out of 5. I don't see this as a weak profile at all. You could possibly have weak academics, or you possibly don't have, or according to you, you feel that your progression is not great. But talk about, I was mentioning this to someone, talk about your contributions, talk about the kind of impact that you have brought to the organization. This is what we're looking for. I'm not looking for the number of promotions, or I'm not looking for the designation hike, etc. I'm just looking for your contribution, how you have evolved as a professional. Difference between EU and YLP. EU early entry option is for those who've completed their graduation and have less than 2 years of experience. YLP are current students of final and pre-final year college. Okay, so that's the difference. Is GMAT score plus at par with Ujjwal? Again, very tricky question. There is no right answer, no wrong answer for this. Both are acceptable, both are doable, but I don't know if they are comparable. Yeah, I cannot say that 650 with 18 years or 700 with 5 years, are they comparable? Very difficult to say, because I don't know how the other elements will look like. So again, do not compare the scores. There is no sort of direct attribution there. On what basis a candidate is waitlisted? Is it like one seat to be waitlisted if waitlisting 3 or 4? So again, it changes each year. There is no right answer to this. I cannot say that for one seat we have 3 to 4 waiting. There is no right answer for that. PGP appropriate with someone standing at approximately 50 LPA. I'm sorry, I missed that question. Pre-MBA salary with 8 years of experience. So yes, I think if I keep aside the LPA as such, I think what is important is that why you want to do an MBA. MBA is not only done for the salary hike, right? MBA is also something which will give you a career shift, a professional growth with respect to an industry and a function. So, what is that one thing that you are looking for? Second, the kind of exposure, knowledge that you're looking for. Looking for a global management program, the global exposure, flavor of learning from international faculty of Wharton, Kellogg, LBS, want to sign up for the best, this is the place to be. So when you define the ROI of your MBA, it's not just dependent on your salary. And coming to the last bit, which is definitely the salary, if you're already at a 50 LPA, okay, and if you are after 1 year to after graduation, if you have to be recruited, be rest assured that you will only build on this. You will not draw anything which is going to be less than this. When in my slide I talked about 34 lakhs, or if you've been referring to the placement report which is on the website, it's an average, and it's the average of mid 80, right? We removed both the tails. We've removed both the tails which can skew or which can be the outliers. This is the mid 80 average of 34. So Vartika, what is the lowest GMAT score accepted for? The lowest 600, if that is what you want to know. For Indian students, the lowest that we've seen is 610. So if that is a definition of lowest, that is what the current class is seeing. What percentage seats remain in R3? About 15-20%. Does the recommendation be a retired professor or director do? Yes, if he's worked in a professional capacity, absolutely. If he has retired, or if he's quit the job, or if you've changed the organization, not a problem. You can go for him. Because if I remember, Narendra, you are from the academia, so that's why you're talking about professor. But for others, for YLP, yes, professor is accepted. For U and PGP, we don't need professors. It has to be somebody from your professional network only. Sumit's score experience, I will give that a pass because we've talked about it enough. You have to build on your overall application. Rough number of EO admits in round 1 changes again every year. No right answer that I have for this one as well. Candidate who's applied earlier than another candidate is the same round has any edge? It's just the same. Ultimately, it all depends on how each of them have performed in their application drafting stage and interview. So, yep. Home-based GMAT accepted, yes. Maximum number of students entering the PGP program every year above 30. Above 30, I think half the class. Half the class, I think, because the average is about 30, 31. So yes, half the class. What percentage seats remain in R3? 15-20%. I talked about it. More interviews supposed to happen for R1. No, sorry guys, we've concluded the process for R1. All right. So yep, great. Covered all the questions in the chat, guys. Any more questions? Keep them coming. But just a quick reminder. R2 deadline December 4th. R3 mid-Jan. Exact dates will be published soon. GMAT range, no particular score, which is 610 to 780. GRE range 305 to 339. No one perfect score. Both official, unofficial scores are accepted. You can submit these scores and submit your application for round 2 or round 3. Or you can take the test center or the home exam. Both is also acceptable. Okay. GMAT GRE is mandatory irrespective of the number of years of experience, irrespective of your age. GMAT GRE is mandatory. You cannot apply to the flagship PGP without the score. There is no waiver. We will need the score. Okay, experience in product design, and want to shift into product management, gain business experience. Will it be a red flag if I don't have any tech consulting? No, not at all, Abhinav. Not at all. There's no red flag. Okay. Okay, so guys, you can, so this question is from Namit, again, very important question. You cannot apply multiple times in 1 year. So if you get rejected at R2, you cannot apply again in R3. However, you can apply again in the subsequent round. So if you're applying in round 2 now, you can apply again in R1 next year only. You cannot apply multiple times in 1 year. Okay. 7 years of work experience, GMAT score, etc. UG is this. Kaizen, good profile. And now it totally depends on how you build on the other aspects. So these are all profiling questions. There's no right profile, good profile, bad profile. It totally now depends on how you're going to build on it in your overall application and take it forward from here. That is going to be important. Right, so guys, that's that. I hope you all have started building on your application. Please start working on the essay. It's very, very important. Please don't leave it for the last minute, last weekend. Spend at least, well, it can be done in 2-3 hours, but not something that we recommend. Please spend at least a day or two on it. Start working on it, build on it bit by bit. On-campus program commencement, PGP program starts on 22nd of April. The entire calendar for Hyderabad and Mohali has been uploaded on the website. So please feel free to go through it and block your calendar. Gap does not impact, Rohan. Be it 1 year, 2 years, X years, the gap will not impact your candidature. Okay, so Debashish, what you can do is that you can possibly try to register using whichever email ID that you have. If the system says that this user ID already exists, then please send us that email ID and my team will help you identify the year or the exact code that you need. Okay, so just try using the email ID that you want to register with and see if the system is accepting it. 4 years digital marketing, GMAT is yet to be taken. Okay, Cherry, great, all the best. The profile is just fine with respect to eligibility, 4 years, and you are a direct admit. So all the best. What's the total fee for PGP? So after 18% GST, accommodation, everything all inclusive, the fees is about 38 lakhs. Right. Okay. Any more questions for me, guys, tonight? All right. So sure. 2 more questions. Ujjwal, again, totally depends on. So if you're a senior manager right now, depends on post MBA. Don't go by designation, because a manager in any other organization could be a very senior profile, right? So what matters is growth in your overall candidature, the kind of profile that you've been handling, not the designation. So what you want to do next, you could be hired as a consultant. Now, consultant as a designation, is it at par of a senior manager or not? But that's not important. What important is that you got your dream role in the dream organization. Differentiation between GMAT, GRE applicants, no differentiation. Both of them are treated independently. We do not convert one score into the other. And again, unofficial, official, anything accepted. Online versus test center, both is accepted. How many LORs required? Only one. One and only one LOR needed. In the system, in the application portal, you can only enter one email ID. Okay. There's only provision to accept one email ID. Very quickly, just reiterating, guys, 5 things that you have to do rightly. And all our ISB admits have been doing it, in addition to your preparation for GMAT, GRE, in addition to proofreading it, in addition to getting it peer reviewed by your seniors. Please, again, a quick review of the 5 things that you have to keep in mind. Create an impact in the application form. That's exactly what we're looking for. The clarity of your thought process. Please have conversations with self, understand why you're doing whatever you're doing. Represent the clarity in your application form. Being original, please present your unique case. Please be as honest to yourself and be true to yourself. The fourth, keep asking why. Whatever you're entering in the application form, keep asking that why am I writing this? Is it important? Will this add merit and credibility to the application form? And finally, ultimately, it should be able to build the overall story. Whatever that you've entered in your academics, your employment, your essays, the LOR, ultimately should together stitch a story about you. So these are the 5 things that everybody gets it right and is the right approach for building your application to ISB. Right. A few more questions in the chat. Range of expected salaries, consulting. It's a huge range. I don't even know where to begin this from. So totally depends on your prior work experience, the kind of organization that you're getting into, which form of consulting you're getting into. So it's a huge range that you can operate in. EO candidates get waitlisted or admit reject. So totally depends here again. EO candidates typically get admitted rejected. They get only waitlisted if they're on the borderline. Suppose they're just about to finish few days here or there, but can be considered based on your overall interview performance. So in that case, it can be under the consideration set that if there is any seat which opens up, we can roll out that seat to you in this year. So that's the only way one case where we keep it under consideration set. LOR from previous employer, yes, you can reach out to your previous employer, your previous reporting manager for your LOR. Right now, Vartika, there is absolutely no visibility whether we'll be accepting EA scores. We only are accepting GMAT GRE. Fee for the exchange program is included in the program fee. Yes, Varun. The only additional fee would be the travel, the visa, even the stay at the campus is taken care of. Only the travel and the visa is the additional and the other incidental costs. GRE applicants are interviewed by separate panel. Is school looking to minimize admits in case of GRE? So no, Abhi. So there is no separate interview process for GRE applicants. It's just the same. In fact, if I may let you know that the alums, the recruiter, the interviewers do not have access to your scores. So they, let alone GMAT GRE, they don't even know what score it is. They only look at you as an individual who will present the case. One form is the application. The second form is in front of them, who's going to have a conversation with them. And that's why they are there. They want to understand you. They want to see whether you overall fit into the whole ecosystem and culture of ISB. So that is what they will be focusing on. And it's not a stress interview. You've talked about grilling, etc. It's not a technical round. It's not going to be grilling. There are no GK questions. You will not be asked any math formulas. You will not be asked to code anything. The interview is a friendly conversation to understand you and your why MBA, why ISB story. Minimize admits in case of GRE? Absolutely no. There is as such no approach to minimizing or maximizing GRE applicants, etc. It's just the same. Everybody competes in the same space, and they ultimately have to prove their whole credential based on the entire application process that I've talked about. Not good at extracurriculum, will it affect the EO admit? No, not at all, Shyam. I've talked about those parameters so many times today. Focus on other elements, essays, etc. So you can bring up your score on those parameters. Impact of LOR is not directly proportional to the seniority of the recommender, but the content that the recommender writes for you. GMAT GRE conversion? No, there is no conversion. The one score is not converted into another. All right. Both of them are treated independently and they are treated at par, no differentiation. All right. So I think I have successfully managed to cover all the questions in the chat window. We'll give you another second or so. If you want, you can type something for me. Happy to take a few more questions for you. Placement process, are there some points which are given to admits? apply. So I would recommend that let's take it one by one. We have a dedicated team which takes care of the placements. They will be hand holding you, they will be taking care, whether be it preparing for your resume, your personal branding, your interview process, assigning you a mentor. An alum is, by the way, an alum works with you closely to understand your strengths, weaknesses, to understand the kind of profiles that you are looking at. So it's a different process and it starts when you become a student. Okay, so I think right now let's focus on stage one, which is why we are here. How to crack ISB and what are the right things, what are the things to keep in mind for the upcoming deadline. All of this will be taken care once you're here on the campus. We have a system in place. We have 30 plus professionals who are trained to take care exactly of this. And we have multiple alums who are roped in for the placement week as well. All right. Thank you, Varun. Thank you so much. Okay, Akhil has a question. Good essay, good LOR, 2 years of experience. I'm a writer. What are the chances? Again, Akhil, guys, please understand that all of these are just fine. What is also what also is important now is that how you present your case to me, right? It's very difficult for us to give you an exact answer that this is the work experience or this is the score. The essays are important, the LOR is important. There are other subjective elements to your application form, which is very, very important. So please focus on those elements. While you've got this one piece right, let's just focus on others. Very difficult to say a yes or a no, rather absolutely incapacitated to comment on this at all. So please go ahead and build a holistic profile. Please present your best case and then go for it. Yeah. Okay, guys. So right, so it's time to wrap it up. Happy to take more questions if you may have. Send us a LinkedIn request or write to us at pgp@isb.edu or connect with us on the LinkedIn, and happy to get onto a Zoom call and address any questions that you may have. Thank you so much.